14th of December, 1943, North Atlantic, 287 meters below the surface. This is the story of U-437 and what happened on day 58 of our patrol. My name is Klaus Hartmann, Oberleutnant, sonar operator. I was trained to listen, to hear what others couldn't, and that is exactly what doomed us. What I'm about to tell you was classified as Incident No by the Kriegsmarine, an event that officially never happened. But every word is true. U-437 was a Type VII-C boat. 67 meters of steel coffin. For 48 men, that meant roughly 1.4 square meters each. Less space than a grave. We'd been at sea for 58 days. 58 days of recycled air, cold rations, and the constant pressure bath, psychological and physical. Our mission was simple on paper. Intercept Allied convoy, HX-217. Destroy as many Liberty ships as possible. Return to base. Simple, until nothing made sense anymore. Let me introduce you to the crew. First, Captain Lieutenant Weber, our commander, 32 years old, 3 patrols survived. A man who lived by percentages and probabilities. Weber would say things like 68% chance of encountering destroyers in grid and -42. That kind of precision. He believed numbers could predict everything. He was wrong. Then there was Maskenenmat Fischer, our chief mechanic. Built like he was forged from the same Krupp steel as the boat. A man of few words but magical hands. Fischer never smiled, but his hands could hear problems in the machinery before any gauge showed them. He'd place his palm on the engine block and just know. And Bootsman Krieger, our navigation officer, the philosopher of our crew. He kept a small compass his 8-year-old daughter made him. Cardboard magnetized needle, painted red. Every night at 2100 hours, Krieger would check his daughter's compass against the main navigation compass. A ritual, superstition, we thought. On day 58, it saved no one. By day 42, we'd already taken damage, a depth charge attack. Our starboard diving plane was mangled. Maximum safe depth reduced to 150 meters. We were vulnerable. Day 49, our radio antenna was sheared off during an emergency dive. No communication with U-boat command. No orders. No backup. We were ghosts in the Atlantic. Day 54, Fischer reported stress fractures in the pressure hull. Frame 38. Hairline cracks spreading like spider webs. We stopped diving below 200 meters. But fate doesn't care about limits. The 14th of December, day 58. 347 hours. I was on the graveyard watch. Headphones on, monitoring the hydrophone array, listening to the ocean's heartbeat. Then I heard it. 3 distinct metallic impacts, bearing 270 degrees. West. The sound was wrong. Too deliberate, too rhythmic, too familiar. I ran standard diagnostics. Could be debris from a sunken freighter striking our hull. Could be acoustic refraction from thermal layers. Could be whale activity. Could be many things. None felt right. I loved it. Unidentified acoustic contact, possible debris collision. Professional, clinical, safe. Then I woke Kapitän Lieutenant Weber. He needed to hear this himself. Weber arrived in the control room, uniform hastily buttoned, eyes sharp despite the hour. He listened through my headphones for exactly 30 seconds. Then he checked our position. "Hartmann," he said calmly, "what is the water temperature at our current depth?" I knew where this was going. 4 degrees Celsius, Herr Kapitän. His jaw tightened, and above us. 7 degrees, sir. Thermocline at 180 meters. Weber nodded slowly, calculating. 68% probability it is acoustic refraction. sound from a surface convoy. Bent downward, log it and monitor. For 6 hours, nothing. The ocean returned to its normal chorus of groans and whispers. I almost believed his explanation, almost convinced myself it was natural. Then 0347 arrived again. The 15th of December, exactly 24 hours later, to the 2nd, the knocking returned. Same bearing, same resonance, but this time there were 5 impacts, and I was ready with the recorder. I played it back, ran spectral analysis on the waveform. What I discovered made my hands shake so badly I had to put down the pencil twice before finishing my notes. The impacts weren't random. They followed an international pattern any operator would recognize. 3 short, pause. 3 long, pause, 3 short. The universal distress signal, SOS. But here is what made it impossible. The acoustic signature didn't match any known vessel. Not Allied destroyers, not German boats. The frequency profile was us. It was U-437's exact hull resonance. Something was knocking on our hull using our own acoustic frequency. Like hearing your voice played back, but from outside your body. I woke Fisher immediately. He had to see this. Fisher stared at the waveform comparison for a full minute without blinking. His face, usually a mask of stoic confidence, showed something I'd never seen before. Fear, raw, unfiltered fear. Equipment malfunction, he finally said, but his voice lacked conviction. Has to be. Check every component, every connection, every solder point. Find the error. We spent 4 hours searching. Every component tested perfectly. Every connection was solid. Every gauge read nominal. The equipment was functioning exactly as designed, which meant the signal was real, and that terrified us more than any malfunction. The 16th of December, 0347 hours. Like clockwork, the knocking returned. 7 impacts this time, louder, closer. And now I could hear it without the hydrophone, through the hull itself. This time it wasn't just OS. I grabbed my Morse decoder and started transcribing frantically. My hand was shaking so badly the letters came out jagged, but the message was clear, too clear. U-437, our boat designation. Then coordinates, 52 degrees north, 30 degrees west. Our exact position, then a month abbreviation, DES, December. And finally, a number that stopped my heart. 19. The 19th of December, 3 days from now, someone, something, was sending us a message containing our boat's name, our precise coordinates, and a date 3 days in the future. The implications were insane. I made the mistake of telling the crew within an hour. Everyone knew. The whispers spread through the boat like water through a cracked hull. And with it came fear, real, infectious fear. Weber called an emergency briefing in the control room. 14 men crammed into a space meant for 8. He stood at the chart table, trying to maintain command, but his hands betrayed him. Coincidence, Weber declared with forced confidence. We've been at this position for 3 days. Any signal could reference these coordinates. It proves nothing. We stay the course. But his voice cracked slightly. Fisher wanted to shut down the hydrophone entirely. If we can't hear it, he argued, it is not a problem. We go silent, rely on visual targeting only. Running from the unknown, I understood the impulse. But Krieger, quiet Krieger, pulled out that cardboard compass his daughter made, held it next to the main brass compass, and showed us something that made the temperature drop 10 degrees. They didn't match. The official compass showed us heading north-northwest. His daughter's compass showed something else. Southwest, a 40-degree difference. And here is what made it worse. They haven't matched since the 14th of December, Krieger said quietly. His voice was steady, but his His eyes looked like a man staring into an abyss. "We re not where we think we are. We haven't been for 4 days." The words hung in the recycled air like smoke. If our position was wrong, then our calculations were wrong. Our navigation was wrong. Everything was wrong. The arguing started immediately. Surface and risk allied destroyers. Stay submerged and risk. What? Running out of oxygen, or worse. Whatever was sending that message, there was no good choice. Weber made the call. We maintain depth, we maintain course. We do not respond to phantom signals or superstitious navigation tools. This crew operates on science and discipline, not fear. But I saw it in his eyes, the same doubt we all felt. The percentages weren't adding up anymore. His rational world was cracking, and he knew it. We all knew it. The 17th of December. 347 hours. The knocking came again. This time, it wasn't from outside the hull. The sound was coming from inside the boat, from within our own steel tomb. We split into search teams. Fisher and I took the aft section. Weber and Krieger went forward. We were hunting for the source of something that shouldn't exist, the hunter becoming the hunted. The knocking was moving. First from the diesel engine compartment. We dismantled the cowling nothing. Then it shifted to the starboard fuel tank. We drained it empty. It was playing with us. Then the port battery, then the galley, then the sea, our scrubbers. Space is too small for anything physical to exist. The sound defied location. It was coming from everywhere and nowhere, from dimensions we couldn't access. At 412 hours, all 4 search teams met back in the control room. We'd searched every accessible space, every compartment, every crawl space. Found nothing, but the knocking continued, mocking us. Weber's face had changed. I'd never seen him without that calculated expression. The man who lived by percentages now looked utterly lost. His mental framework was collapsing in real time. "Hartmann," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "Play back the hydrophone recording from the 14th of December, the very first contact." His hands were shaking as he lit a cigarette, something he never did on duty. I played it back, the original knocking from 4 days ago. We all listened in absolute silence, 48 men holding their breath. Then Krieger said something that made reality tilt sideways. "Play it backwards," Krieger whispered. His daughter's compass was spinning in his palm now, needle rotating continuously, unable to find north, unable to find north, unable to find any direction in this cursed place. I reversed the tape. The sound that emerged made my blood crystallize. It wasn't random noise anymore. It was a voice, distorted, waterlogged, desperate, but unmistakably human, unmistakably German. The voice was repeating the same phrase over and over. "Nicht auftauchen am 19 December. Don't surface on the 19th of December. A warning from the future, or the past, or from a dimension where time meant nothing." Fisher's face went white as chalk. "That voice," he stammered. I recognized the vocal pattern, the resonance frequency. He was staring at the speaker like it was a serpent. "It is mine. That is my voice." The temperature in the control room felt like it dropped 20 degrees. We were listening to Fisher warn himself, but he hadn't sent any message. He was standing right here, which meant Krieger had been researching. I found him in his bunk that night, surrounded by old patrol reports, mission logs, historical records. His eyes were bloodshot. He'd discovered something terrible. "Look at this," he said, spreading documents across the tiny fold. Down table. Unternehmen Eisberg. Our mission designation. There have been 4 previous attempts to intercept convoy HX-217. 4 boats. All lost. The 12th of October, U-219, lost with all hands. Last position 52 degrees north, 30 degrees west. My stomach turned. Those were our coordinates, the exact ones from the message. This couldn't be coincidence. The 3rd of November, U-534 disappeared without trace. Last transmission from 52 north, 30 west. Krieger's voice was mechanical now, like he was reading a death sentence. His own. Ours. Everyone. The 28th of November, U-771, reported sunk by unknown causes, position. He paused, looking at me with eyes that had seen too much. 52 degrees north, 30 degrees west, same grid, same fate, always day 58. Every single boat sent to this grid square vanishes on day 58 of patrol. Every one. We not the first U-437 to receive this message. His hands were trembling violently now. We're just the latest. Fisher pushed back from the table. So what? His voice was too loud in the confined space. We're haunted by dead submarines, ghosts in the water. This is insane. This is impossible. No, Krieger said quietly, with the certainty of a man who'd solved an impossible equation. Not ghosts. Us. We're haunted by ourselves. By versions of U-437 that already lived and died through the 19th of December. He explained his theory. What if time in this area didn't flow linearly? What if the 19th of December had already happened multiple times, and we were caught in some kind of temporal loop, receiving echoes from failed iterations? The message wasn't from another boat. It was from us, from a future where we'd already made the wrong choice, where we'd already died, and now we were trying to warn our past selves. But would we listen? Weber stood abruptly. This is madness. Time doesn't loop. Physics doesn't break. There is a rational explanation for, but his cigarette was shaking so badly he couldn't bring it to his lips. His rationality was his last defense. The 18th of December, 347 hours, 24 hours until the predicted moment. The knocking returned. But this time it was different. Faster, more frantic, more desperate, like drowning men pounding on a coffin lid. I grabbed my pencil and decoded. The message was longer now, much longer. And with each word, the air became harder to breathe. Not from oxygen depletion, from pure dread. Don't surface. They are waiting. 600 hours. Destroyers. Grid a -42, 12 ships. Depth charges. Hull breach. Flooding. Everyone drowns. Don't be us. Don't be us. Don't be us. The message repeated over and over, faster each time, until it wasn't Morse code anymore. It was screaming. Actual humans screaming transmitted through steel and water and time itself. Fisher tore off his headphones and threw them across the room. Make it stop. Make it stop. He was crying. This man of steel and machinery, reduced to tears by sounds from a future that hadn't happened yet. But it didn't stop. Even without the hydrophone, we could all hear it now. Through the hull, through the pipes, through our own skulls. The screaming of men we hadn't become yet. Our future corpses crying out. The crew fractured completely. Half wanted to surface immediately, risk the destroyers, escape this nightmare. Half wanted to stay submerged, prove the message wrong, break the loop through defiance. There was no consensus, only chaos. Weber was trapped between impossible choices. Surface at 0600 on the 19th of December. The message said destroyers would be waiting. Certain death. Stay down. We had 14 hours of oxygen remaining. Probable death. Choose your doom. But there was a third option, one nobody wanted to say aloud. What if the only way to break the loop was to ensure there was no U-437 to send a message back? What if we had to erase ourselves? I found Fisher in the torpedo room at 0200 hours, the 19th of December. He was staring at the manual scuttling mechanism, not touching it, just staring. like a man contemplating jumping from a bridge. "If we're already dead," he said without looking at me, "if this is just an echo of something that already happened, then nothing we do matters, right? We're just ghosts going through the motions." I didn't answer, because I'd been thinking the same thing. Were we real, or were we just temporal echoes of men who'd already died? Was our free will genuine, or predetermined? These questions have no good answers. The knocking had changed again. It wasn't following the schedule anymore. It wasn't coming at 0347. It was constant. Every minute, every second, a countdown, a death march, time running out audibly. And the sound, it wasn't just knocking anymore. It sounded like footsteps, heavy boots on metal decking, walking through the boat, through spaces too small for passage, through solid bulkheads. Something was aboard with us. Krieger heard it too. We all did. The sound of someone or something that walked like us, breathed like us, moved like us, because it was us. Our future selves, already dead, walking through our present. Temporal ghosts made of regret. The 19th of December, 0530 hours, 30 minutes until the predicted moment. The air was thick with fear. You could taste it metallic, like blood, like the ocean, claiming what belonged to it all along. Weber stood at the periscope. He hadn't moved in 3 hours, statue still, his hand on the control wheel, waiting for his own decision. The man who calculated everything now couldn't calculate a way out. Fisher was in the engine room, manually monitoring every gauge, every valve, every pressure reading, as if technical perfection could save us from temporal paradox, as if knowing the numbers could change fate. Krieger sat at the navigation table, that cardboard compass still spinning in his palm. The needle had been rotating continuously for 2 days now, unable to find any direction, because there was no direction out of this. And me, I was listening, always listening. The hydrophone was picking up voices now, multiple voices, all speaking German, all speaking over each other, all saying the same thing in perfect, horrifying unison. 6 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes. Counting down. Who were they? Past crews, future crews. All the U-437s that had died in this cursed grid, all speaking at once through the fabric of broken time. I ripped off the headphones, but I could still hear them, not through the equipment, through the air itself, through my bones. The voices were inside me now, inside all of us. We were becoming them. 540 hours. Weber finally moved, turned from the periscope. His face was gray, aged 20 years in 3 days. He gave the order we all knew was coming. The only order left. Prepare to surface. The crew moved like automatons. No questions, no protests. Beyond fear now, beyond hope. Just following orders because that is what submariners do. Even when those orders lead to certain death. Especially then, 550 hours. Ballast tanks blown. We began ascending from the deep. The boat groaned, metal stressed beyond limits. 58 days of pressure taking its toll. Somewhere aft, a rivet popped. Water began seeping in. The depth gauge needle began moving counterclockwise. 250 meters, 200 meters, 150 meters. Each number a step closer to the surface, to the destroyers, to the fate the message had warned us about. 100 meters, 80 meters. The pressure hull shrieked, metal fatigue manifesting as audible pain. The boat was dying with us, or maybe it had been dead all along, and we were just now realizing it. Krieger was praying. I didn't know he believed in God. Maybe he didn't, until now. Maybe desperation creates faith. Or maybe he was just hedging his bets with any power that might be listening. Fisher was crying, silent tears streaming down his grease-stained face. I'd never seen this man cry. Not when we took depth charge damage, not when we lost radio contact. Only now, at the end of everything. 60 meters, 40 meters, 558 hours. 2 minutes until the predicted moment. Weber turned to me. Hartmann, if we surface, and there is nothing there, if this was all in our heads, he couldn't finish, didn't need to. 20 meters, 10 meters. Every man in the control room held his breath. The only sound was the creaking hull in our hammering hearts. We were about to break the surface, about to learn if our future was fixed or fluid. 600 hours. The 19th of December, 1943. We surfaced. Weber raised the periscope to full extension, scanned the horizon, 360 degrees, slowly, methodically, his training overriding his terror. Then he whispered 2 words that stopped time. It is empty. The ocean was completely empty. No destroyers, no convoy, no Allied ships at all. Just water and sky and fog thick. Unnatural fog that pulsed like it was breathing, like it was alive. Relief flooded through the crew. Nervous laughter. Weber smiled for the first time in days. The message was wrong, he said, voice cracking with exhausted hope. We broke the loop, we changed. Something massive struck the hull. The impact threw 3 men off their feet. This wasn't debris. This wasn't a whale. Something had deliberately rammed us. Something with purpose. Something with malice. Emergency dive now, Weber screamed. But the hydraulics didn't respond. Fisher ran to the control panel. His face went white. The controls, they're not responding. It is like the boat is refusing our commands. We were surfaced, immobile, completely helpless. Floating targets waiting for slaughter. The fog began to part, and through it, we saw something that made every rational thought in my mind shatter like glass. A submarine was approaching from starboard. Same class as ours. Same Type VII-C configuration. Same battle damage on the conning tower. Same rust patterns. Same everything. Because it was U-437. We were looking at ourselves. Krager grabbed the signal lamp, started flashing Morse code with trembling hands. Who are you? Identify. His voice was barely human anymore. More like an animal caught in a trap. Desperate, doomed. The other boat's signal lamp flashed back. Slow, deliberate, almost mocking. U-437. Day 58. December 19, 1943. Pause Nietzsche of Dachshund. Don't surface. Pause. See Wharton. They are waiting. Pause. Word it. Nicked. Why were? Don't be us. The final message, the warning we'd been hearing for 5 days. And now we understood. We hadn't escaped the loop. We just reached the part where we became the messengers, where we became the ghosts. Then the other U-437 started sinking. Not diving. Sinking. The hull was rupturing, breaking apart from internal pressure. We could see figures in the water, men in Kriegsmarine uniforms, drowning, screaming, reaching toward us. And every single one of them had our faces. Fisher's face, Krieger's face, Weber's face. My face, we were watching ourselves die. Watching a future, or past, where we'd made the same choices and paid the same price. The sinking U-437 took 17 minutes to disappear completely. 17 minutes of watching our doppelgangers drown in slow motion. 17 minutes that felt like 17 years. Then the fog cleared completely, and we saw them. Destroyers on the horizon, dozens of them. British, American, Canadian. Every Allied destroyer that had ever hunted U-boats, an impossible fleet that shouldn't exist. Waiting, they'd been there the entire time. Just outside the fog. 617 hours. They opened fire. The first salvo hit 50 meters off our port beam. Water columns erupted like geysers. The second salvo was closer, 30 meters. They were ranging in, zeroing their guns, playing with us. But we still couldn't dive. The hydraulics remained frozen. Fisher was in the engine room, trying everything. Manual overrides, emergency protocols. Nothing worked. The submarine had become our coffin, sealed from the inside. Krieger understood first. He always was the smart one, the philosophical one. "We can't change it," he said, staring at his daughter's compass one last time. "The other boat tried not to surface, and they still ended up here. Every decision leads to the same moment," he continued. "If we surface, we re-destroyed by destroyers. If we don't surface, we run out of oxygen and sink. Same grid square, same day 58, same death, just different paths to identical ends." Weber laughed. It was the most horrifying sound I've ever heard. The sound of sanity shattering into a million pieces. "Then what is the point?" he shouted at the fog, at the destroyers, at time itself. "If we can't escape, why exist at all?" A depth charge exploded directly beneath us. The boat lifted 3 meters out of the water, then slammed back down. Lights shattered. Pipes burst. Water began flooding the aft compartments. We were taking lethal damage. The end had begun. Fisher appeared in the control room, soaked in seawater and hydraulic fluid. He grabbed my arm with terrifying strength. "The message," he said. "We have to send the message. Warn the past iterations. That is our role in this loop. We're not trying to escape," he continued. "We're trying to maintain the loop. Every U-437 has to warn the previous one. That is why we exist. We're not victims. We're messengers, links in a chain that can't break." But the radio was destroyed, had been since day 49. How could we send a message? How could we warn anyone if we had no transmission capability? Krieger looked at me, then at the hydrophone, and I understood. "Sound travels through water," Krieger whispered. "Through time. If we make the right resonance frequency, if we use the hull itself as a transmitter, we can become the knocking. We can be the warning we heard. Oh, 623 hours. We had one choice left: scuttle the boat. Controlled sinking to 300 meters. Use the hull implosion at crush depth to create a resonance wave that would echo backward through the temporal anomaly. Become the message." Weber gave the final order. His voice was steady now, accepting. "Open all ballast tanks. Set scuttling charges for 300 meters. All hands to stations." We were going to die, but we were going to die with purpose. Fisher sealed himself in the engine room. "Simone has to manually trigger the implosion from critical depth," he said through the intercom. His voice was calm. "I volunteer. Tell my family. Tell them I died well." Krieger programmed the hydrophone to transmit mode. Set the coordinates, the date, the warning. Everything we'd coded over 5 days of terror. Now we would send it back. Close the loop. Become our own haunting. And me, I was given the task of tapping out the sequence. The rhythm that would echo through time. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. But I added something. Something the others didn't know about. After the coordinates, after the warning, I added the most important part. Word it nicked we were. Don't be us. The phrase that haunted us. Now, I would make it eternal. Send it to every past and future U-437 that would sail these cursed waters. Oh, 627 hours. We passed 200 meters on the emergency dive. The pressure hull began singing. High, pitched, agonizing, like the boat was screaming. Metal stressed beyond endurance. the sound of a ship dying in agony. 250 meters. Water flooded through a dozen ruptures simultaneously. The ocean was claiming us, reclaiming what had dared to intrude into its depths. Cold Atlantic water, 39 degrees. Darkness, pressure, death, 280 meters. Weber looked at me one last time. Water was up to our waists now. "Do you think we saved them?" he asked. The next U-437, I wanted to lie, to give him comfort. But Krieger answered first. "No," Krieger said simply. Water was pouring over his daughter's compass now. "We've just given them the same choice we had, and they'll make the same mistakes. That is the loop. We don't save anyone, we just pass on the suffering." 295 meters. I started tapping. Metal rod against the pressure hull, creating the resonance, the frequency, the message. The same knocking we'd heard, the same warning we'd ignored. Now we were the source, the origin, the curse. 300 meters. Critical depth exceeded. The hull imploded. Not gradually, not gracefully, violently, catastrophically. 48 men crushed in less than a second. Death so fast we didn't have time to feel it. Just nothing. The 14th of December, 1943. North Atlantic, 287 meters below the surface. This is day 58 of patrol mission Unternehmen Eisberg, U-437. Crew complement, 48 men. My name is Oberleutnant Klaus Hartmann, sonar operator. At 347 hours this morning, I picked up an unusual acoustic signal. I am going to investigate. I am going to make the same choices. I am going to die in 5 days. But you who are listening to this right now, you have the same choice I did. Will you surface on day 58, or will you become another link in the chain? Choose wisely. Though I suspect choice is an illusion we tell ourselves. Until next time, if there is a next time.